We have breaking news at this hour. The Israeli military says they are currently conducting extensive
5 a.m.
strikes.
in Gaza, a series of Israeli airstrikes has killed at least 200 people.
Israel has resumed attacks on Gaza in breach of a ceasefire agreement with Hamas that has been in place.
The ceasefire between Hamas and Israel is over. Early this morning.
The Israel-Palestine conflict has ignited a firestorm of global consequences. Raging protests, economic crises, and political power plays that go far beyond the Middle East. From the origins of this war to the modern-day ceasefire deal, we unravel the shocking truths behind the battles, the secret negotiations, and the high-stakes game of global politics. But just when the world thought a ceasefire would bring peace, a new twist has emerged, one that could change everything. Will the war truly end, or is this just the beginning of a new kind of control? Join us as we uncover the full story, raw, unfiltered, and unlike anything you've seen before. The Israel-Palestine history that you might not know. War, destruction, and a battle with no end in sight. The Israel-Palestine conflict is a story of land, power, and politics. It's a war that stretches far beyond the Middle East, shaking the very foundation of global stability. But to truly understand this crisis, we must go back to where it all began. Before the World Wars, before the modern state of Israel, Palestine was under Ottoman rule. For centuries, Jews, Christians, and Muslims coexisted here. But by the late 19th century, the arrival of Zionist immigrants triggered tensions. Then came World War I, and everything changed. In 1917, Britain issued the Balfour Declaration, promising a homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine, a land already inhabited by Palestinian Arabs. The British Mandate of Palestine was established, setting the stage for an explosive conflict. Then, in 1947, the United Nations decided Palestine would be divided into two states, one Jewish, one Arab. But the Palestinian people never agreed to this, and on May 14, 1948, Israel declared its independence. The next day, war erupted. The First Arab-Israeli War broke out. Egypt, Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria invaded Israel. Palestinians either fled or were forced from their homes. The world now knows this catastrophe as the Nakba, Arabic for catastrophe. 750,000 Palestinians displaced, their homeland gone, and yet this was only the beginning. Fast forward to 1967, the Six-Day War. Israel's military dominance stunned the world. Egypt lost the Sinai Peninsula, Jordan lost the West Bank, Syria lost the Golan Heights, and Palestine still stateless. But this war is no longer just about Israel and Palestine. It has spilled into the West, into Europe and America, where Jewish and Muslim communities are now at odds. Protests turn violent, hate crimes surge, radicalization grows. Meanwhile, the economic fallout is crippling the world. This is the main reason that the Gaza Strip holds so much importance, the Red Sea, a vital global trade route, which is now a war zone. Shipping costs have soared 600%. If the war spreads to Iran, the price of oil could skyrocket, sending shockwaves through Europe, America, and beyond. But why is no one really doing anything about it? Is it about the land or the people who live there? The ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, and a twist to it. After months of brutal warfare, a ceasefire was announced on January 15, 2025. This agreement, based on a proposal put forward by former U.S. President Joe Biden in May 2024, is set to unfold in three crucial stages. But what exactly does this deal promise, and more importantly, will it last? The deal is not just for the reason that so many lives have been lost. but mainly because the Red Sea route, which is home to so many trading routes, links the states. The area under destruction was also harming the economical power for many. The first phase, lasting 42 days, promises a total ceasefire. But this isn't just about stopping the gunfire. During this stage, Hamas will release 33 hostages, including women, children, elderly men, and the sick. In exchange, Israel will release 1,900 Palestinian prisoners. But while the world watches these moments of relief, the bigger picture reveals a darker reality. The Netzarim corridor, which once cut Gaza in half, will be dismantled, but the Philadelphia corridor, bordering Egypt, will stay under Israeli control, effectively keeping Gaza under surveillance. Just 16 days into the ceasefire, negotiations will begin for the next stage. This phase is the most crucial because it determines whether this truce will be permanent or short-lived. If successful, this phase promises a permanent ceasefire, a complete Israeli withdrawal, and the release of all remaining hostages in Gaza. But with tensions still high, how realistic is this plan? The final phase focuses on Gaza's reconstruction. Decimated by months of airstrikes, blockades, and starvation, the region will require years of rebuilding. But who will control this process? That's where things take a shocking turn. Former US President Donald Trump made a statement that could change everything. The United States will take control of Gaza. His exact words, "We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site, and get rid of the destroyed buildings." And the reaction? Shock, outrage, confusion. Egypt and Jordan immediately rejected the idea, warning that any attempt to force Palestinians out would destabilize the entire region. Even American lawmakers, including Trump's own Republican allies, are hesitant. I think most Americans wouldn't be excited about sending troops to take over Gaza, said Senator Lindsey Graham. So what happens next? Will Trump's proposal lead to an international crisis, or a new way for those who see it as just a piece of land with resources and so much to offer? And is Gaza's future truly in the hands of its people, or just another bargaining chip in a global power game? This was a whole recap to how Israel and Palestine got into conflict and how the power dynamic works as you see who's suffering and who's benefiting from it. If you want to uncover the real stories behind global conflicts and so much more, subscribe now to Mystery Media, because the truth is never what it seems.